Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I'm almost speechless on this one. This is this third segment of uh, following up with interacting with law enforcement today. Um, Follow us on all those major podcast platforms. Email us kingandot369@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all this, that, and the other. Um, uh, Music by Sweat Artists, streaming on all streaming networks. Uh, like Sun Soul X, we got some things coming in the works. I don't know why we procrastinate. We procrastinate like when we started this damn podcast, man. But yeah, we're gonna jump back into this and knock this out. Interacting with today's law enforcement. It's been a very, very introspective conversation. I wish we could have got a guest speaker on this one, but I think we
Definitely.
pretty much hitting the marks um, from our points of view. Um, but definitely hit us up, in the email, your point of views, or tackle I'll send out a survey on the Facebook page about your thoughts on this. Yeah, but it's crazy. So jumping back into it, let's jump back into it.
For sure.
Are officers prone to looking the other way when they witness other officers violating the rights of citizens? What are your thoughts on that?
I think they do. Honestly, and this is just from my personal opinion. I mean, no human being is perfect, right?
Right.
I don't give a damn what color you are, what's your background, but no human being we know of is perfect. Um, but when you witness a fellow officer um, doing something outside of the scope of what you sworn to take an oath to protect, meaning the law and the citizens,
Hmm.
it goes back to, I think, three things. One, it goes back to the uniform itself.
Right.
Do you want to be labeled as someone who doesn't truly have your partner's back,
Hmm.
even though your partner is doing the wrong thing?
Right.
The second thing I will say is, you as an officer, uh, how much do your own nationality play a role in situations like that?
Hmm.
I mean, if it's someone of your same hue, and you witness someone doing, a fellow officer doing something that's inappropriate or actually violating someone's rights, do you choose your uniform or do you choose your own race?
Mm.
And I say that the third thing is, um, you, one, taking accountability, your own hue, your own race. Two, you taking accountability of, being a police officer, i.e., the uniform. And three is, um, right or wrong,
Right.
meaning I see someone doing something that's completely and totally wrong. I, as an individual, how do I take a stance against that and the repercussions that are going to come behind taking that stance of doing the right thing?
Right.
Meaning, i.e., there may be some time your ass gonna need some backup, and backup don't show up because fellow police officers have felt like you have violated the unwritten rule of protect your partner at all times.
Hmm.
So, with those three dynamics, um, I think it's very hard for any police officer to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Not saying that it doesn't happen, but I can see why it's hard for things to, i.e., as they say, stay on the right side of the fence.
Right. 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 Right.
So, how do you feel about it, man?
Um. Yes, it would depend on well, shit. Let me not even say that. Um, they probably do look the other way. I don't think they're prone to it, but I think in a lot of cases, while it's going on, they might not say anything. Um, Also, I think you know after it's said and done, they probably sit back and be like, "Yo, you messed up, right? That was you was wrong for that." The problem that I have with that is it still might be that situation to where, "All right, yeah, I messed up, but you got my back. You know, um, so I guess it's a tricky situation when it comes to that.
I mean, the thing about it is, not to cut you off, but when you are a police officer, and again, when you're facing a situation like that, let's say you come across a situation where there's a shootout.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? There's an actual live shootout going on. Do you want to catch a bullet from one of them or one of your own?
That's bullet from none of them.
And I'm laughing about it, but this is life. Things, people do find themselves in those type of situations. So again, not uh, trying to make fun of it, but people do, thoughts go through their head of, damn, will I catch a bullet from, one of the suspects, or will I catch a bullet from one of my fellow officers because I did the right thing?
Yeah.
So
Man, it's a tough one.
yeah, yeah, very tough situation to be in.
Mm. I don't want to be in either one of them.
No, no,
Not none of them.
no.
I don't give a damn. I don't want to be not near none of them.
Nope. I that was one of those situations that I just look at it from the outside. Again, I can admire anyone who's willing to put on that uniform and
Oh yeah,
be a righteous police officer, but
yeah.
mm-mm.
Do that. Do that.
So is it fair to say that overall minorities are given less opportunity to comply then?
I would have to say it depends on where they are. Um, yeah, I would think it depends on where they are. I've never experienced, and I think in my mind, Harford County is just pro white, but I've never had a situation to where it was even a question of opportunity to comply because uh, I'm typically not bothered. I'm not in a situation to where I have to face that issue. Um, but overall, I think that is a true statement that minorities are given less opportunity to comply because they come at minorities with a certain mindset, um, certain level of intolerance. So they give minorities a hard way to go. It just is what it is. Sad to
Right.
say, very sad to say.
It
Um,
is.
it's sad that it has to be that way, but not to point the finger at law enforcement officers too much. You have to understand that a lot of minorities also don't have the tolerance to deal with law enforcement. They don't have the
True.
mental capacity to deal with law enforcement. And something that I said on the first statement, you know, far too often we try to own other people's experiences with law enforcement, which we could not and cannot do because if they pull us over and we all rah 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 because we got pulled over, even though we dead ass wrong, they're gonna
Hmm.
approach you in a certain type of way. Um, you know, most whites don't react to the police in that way. Some do, some don't. A large majority of them may not. I can't speak on this statistics about that, but we have to understand that if you are going to, you have, unfortunately, you have to wire your brain to say, if I move too suddenly or do this or do that, it's going to go bad. So
Right.
I think that most often, if you have to interact with them, just have your shit ready. That way, they don't have to ask you too many questions. You don't have to worry about making sudden moves. You don't have to worry about this, that, and the other. And it's sad. And again, it's sad that we have to operate that way. But when I get like I said before, when get pulled over, all my windows are coming down, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they get to my car, my hand is like this. I got my driver's license and my registration in my hand most times. I have so that they say, they, you know, why I pulled you over. Either I'm gonna say no, or I'm gonna say yeah, and then they don't have to say license registration because this shit is right here. Like I have to, I'm gonna look in my mirror to see what side of my car they're gonna come on, especially at night when they got that bright ass light shining at your car.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, here you go. There's less I have to say, so it's less I have to interact with. Other than them saying, "Hey, my name is Officer such and such," blah blah blah. Do you know why I pulled you over? Outside of that is not much that we need to talk about. Um, and a lot of times that, especially when I was doing security, I would have my vest with my shield on it in my back seat, or I would have my military uniform laying in the back seat or hanging up in the back of the car, so they pretty much know who they dealing with. I mean, not that that's you know gets me out of anything, but in certain situations, if that officer had a certain mindset coming up to my car, his mindset kind of went down a little bit because it's like, I'm not dealing with the average nigga, so to speak.
Um.
I mean,
Sorry.
that's
Sorry.
the best way I could put that one.
I get it. I get it. Um. I think that we, again, it's sad that we as people have to be mindful of how we conduct ourselves and carry ourselves when it comes down to um, law enforcement agencies or departments.
Mhm.
But I think in the first podcast, we're talking about how do you even train yourself? How do you even prepare yourself to interact with these officers?
I would say, uh, learn from examples. Like, if you saw your older or younger sibling do something and they got their ass beat, would you go do what they did? Probably not.
Hell no, I'm not.
So, so it's kind of like if you see on the news somebody bucking up to police and they get their ass whooped, are you going to do that? Probably not. You might look at the officer that's interacting with you like, I tear that little ass up. But at the end of the day, it's like, do I do I really want this type of drama? Even though this is getting on my goddamn nerves, even though I know this is a bunch of BS, do I want that extra drama? Or do I want to increase the likelihood of me going the hell home with this them pulling me over as being the thing that irritated me the most?
Right.
You got to look at it like that. It's the lesser of two evils. Pick your battles wisely. Pick your battles smartly. Um, for me, most of the time, I just don't want to deal with the nonsense. I could have been speeding. Okay, I own that. But outside of it, I just look. I don't want nonsense. So just, I already know I'm black. I already know that there's a likelihood I'm gonna run into an officer who does not tolerate black people that much.
Mhm.
I don't want that drama. I just want to go home. I just want to go about my business. I want you to go about your business, like whatever you were doing, like shit.
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, when I was younger, uh, I've had several instances again where I'll just stop. black man driving. No other reason than that right there. I will say the older I've gotten, uh, my interaction with the police have been damn near zero.
Exactly.
Uh, and I think that's because my energy has changed a lot. You know, back then, they see a young man uh, doing their thing or whatever, just minding their own business regardless. And they see you, driving around in some shit they could afford but can't afford.
Hmm.
Um, and they have a problem with you. Um, I have had some good interactions with police officers where one time I had a Corvette, right? I had just bought this Corvette. It was a special edition Corvette. Uh, anyway, I had went to the city that was next to the town I was from, which was the largest city. Uh, and I was coming back home,
Hmm.
and my damn lights on my dash went out.
Mm.
So at this point, I'm pissed. I'm kind of confused. Like, I just bought this motherfucker. Why in the hell are my damn lights going out on my dash? So I have no idea how fast I'm going.
Mm.
I'm kind of gauging my speed off of the car that's in front of me.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, me and this other car went through a light when I got back to the main city I was from. And we both got pulled over.
Mm.
So the police officer, he came, to my car, and he was like, "Are you aware?" No, he said, "How are you doing, sir?" I said, "I'm doing all right." He was like, "Are you aware how fast you're going?" I was like, "Sir, honestly, I did not know. My dash lights are out." I showed him my lights were out, and he was like, "All right, I understand." And he was like, "Well, uh, I'm gonna still have to write you this ticket, but here's what I'm gonna do. If you come to court, I will be there in court with you to verify that your lights were out.
Hmm.
But what I'm going to ask you to do is get your lights fixed. Just bring that receipt with you,
They get their
and
work order done.
right, and I'll definitely do my best to get it thrown out." And so I went and got my dash lights fixed. I went to court. True to his word, he was there as a white police officer. He was there. Um, when it was my turn to come up in front of the judge, uh, he stood up basically with me. I was like, he asked me for the information. I gave it to him. He gave it to I guess the local DA or whatever, or
Mhm.
whatever it was, and he gave it to the judge. And he basically said he's gotten a situation with his car fixed. I don't think that he was purposely speeding.
Mhm.
Blase, blase. He gave his spiel, and the judge did throw it out, but the judge was kind of racist.
Mm.
So it's kind of like, even though you did your part, I'm still facing a racist ass judge. And the reason I know that this guy was racist, right, was this white girl and her parents came up in front of me. Her ass was in there for DUI. DUI now. He threw her shit out.
Wow.
Then said, basically, he just, uh, don't allow this to happen again. Very soft spoken to her. You
Mm.
guys need to make sure you take care of this young lady.
And when it came to you, he had a whole different tone.
Yeah, it had a whole different tone. Was like, even with the officer, basically, saying, he's true to his word. This was the case. He's had it repaired. So he's basically still up there giving me a fucking earful about some shit that it wasn't even necessary.
Mm.
So um, I say that to say that there are good police officers out there, but we as Black people, unfortunately, or ebony people, unfortunately, we have to be mindful of how we interact with them.
And to speak even speak on what you're saying, because look, there are good police officers out there all over the place.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
one unfortunate thing is it sometimes doesn't matter how good they are if they're in a system, for lack of a better term, where they have to deal with the same racisms that you have to deal with. And then that goes back to voting the proper people in position. If that judge was not voted in that position, when that white police officer that stood by his word and stood by you, that interaction wouldn't have happened. It would not have happened because you didn't know what to expect from this officer, but he he kept his word. He kept
Yeah.
his entire word. But you had to face with this ignorant ass judge again. If he is voted out or was never voted in, you wouldn't have that interaction. Oh, all right, officer, not a problem. Throw that away. Have a nice day. Period.
Right.
But yeah, again, it all goes back down to another thing. A lot of these officers really don't want to be bothered or don't want to bother you. It's just that when you do blatant stuff to make you stand out in the crowd, it's
Mhm.
like you're forcing them to interact with you. You're forcing them. Like the last time I got a ticket was probably what I want to say 2015. I was driving in Virginia, one of the worst places to get a ticket. One of the worst places to get a fucking ticket. I was doing, I think, 73 and a 55 in Virginia. That's a reckless driving ticket. Now, I had my silver Hyundai Sonata. Came from around the car, punched the gas, zip past. It was a state trooper over there. I had a silver car. It stood out from all the other cars that were around me because it was blues, blacks, reds, whatever. My silver ass car, zoom. That joker pulled me over, pulled my stuff
Mhm.
out. He didn't have much to say to me. I pulled you over. No, not really. Um, Gave me my shit, gave me my ticket, went about my way. He told me it was going to be a reckless driving. I couldn't pay it online or whatever. I had to go to court. I had to get me a fucking judge. I mean, a lawyer. But the good thing is I didn't have to be in court, so I didn't have to face the judge. Um, you know, my security clearance played a factor in it. My military played a factor in it. At the time I was doing security, that played a factor into it. So that got knocked down to just a regular speeding ticket. I say all that to say, again, how you respond to your interaction with certain police officers determines the outcome of your interaction. And it doesn't matter what color you are sometimes.
True.
Um, could that people who pulled me over could have been racist? Probably. But, you know, at that time of day, I don't think he would have been a jackass. But more so, I wasn't being a jackass towards him. I didn't give him a reason to say, get out the car. I didn't give him a reason to say, you're under arrest, which he legally could have arrested me for reckless driving, speeding like that. But sent me on my way. Told me to be careful. Another time I was like when my son graduated from AIT um, at Fort Benning, I was coming up and let me tell you something. Boy, I had that pedal to the floor. I bullshit you not. I was doing at least 80 in a 65 or 60 or whatever it was.
Mhm.
I got pulled over because my thing was it was this dude in this car, and I was like, this little car ain't gonna outrun me. Man. Fuck out here. Again, with my silver Hyundai Sonata, pushed that pedal to the floor. That joker came pull me over. I had a New York Giants jersey in my car. I had my army dress uniform in my car. Um, Let me tell you, that joker laughed and joked with me. White police officer. That it was a county cop. He
Uh-huh.
laughed and joked with me. Hey, is that a Buffalo Bills jersey? I was like, nah, that's Giants. Where you coming from? Oh, my son just graduated AIT in Fort Benning, Georgia. Blah blah blah. Um, he was like, look, just slow it down. If this was a city cop, he'd have gave you a ticket, a reckless driving ticket, and took you off to jail. Just slow down, blah, 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 sent me on my way. Again, how you interact with the police most of the time determines your outcome. I'm being asked because half the time they don't want to be bothered with you. Like, seriously.
You
Yeah.
know,
And I ain't had no tickets since then.
I had a situation. Sorry, I just brought this up because you said that, but I had a situation where I had dark tint window on my little RX-7, right?
Mm.
And this is back when I was young and a little bit less wiser. So I got pulled over, man, right in front of my job, and the police officer, he was like, your tent is illegal, right? And I'm young, hot headed. I'm like, man, so that's why you fucking pulling me over because my damn tent. And I'll be honest with you, I was probably really disrespectful with some of the shit I was saying. I was like, so you goddamn cops ain't got shit else better to do than pull a motherfucker over for tent. Like, there are plenty of people out there committing crimes, but you pulling me over for tent, really. But anyway, he kept his composure. I could tell he was getting a little agitated, but he kept his composure. So he was like, man, just remove the tent. Um, bring your car to court on this day and have a police officer interact with you to verify that it's gone.
Mhm.
So anyway, make a long story short, I showed up on the day of court, um, and I went in, had a police officer to verify that the tent was gone. The dude was cool as fuck. I
Mhm.
mean, cool as hell, cool white guy. Um, and he came out, he verified it, he went back in. He was like, man, this ain't even worth you seeing a judge about. He was like, this is stupid as shit. So he was like, just wait right here for a second. So he went there, he talked to some people, he came out, he was like, man, have a good day.
Mm.
What? I could have easily paid the damn court fees and all that
Yeah.
shit, but he basically helped me out. He was like, man, have a nice day. He totally agreed that's a stupid ass reason for you to be here and to be taking up the damn court
Yeah.
system's time. Cause of fucking tent? Come on. But
Even though
anyway.
it's illegal to be, a certain darkness,
Yeah, yeah.
gotta be mindful of that. So, and it's one of those things. It's stupid that you pull me over for that, but you know, getting older, I understand that there's certain vehicle codes that they can't violate, blah blah blah. But
Right.
you know, that dude just went past. He shook our cars while he went past us, and we sitting here talking about fucking tent, like.
Mm-hmm.
But again, your response to that can determine your outcome. And there are some who will be tolerant with our ignorance. And
Yep.
it's one of those things where you'd be like, you know what? He could have hung my ass, but he dealt with my bullshit.
True that.
Mm.
So, pertaining to the events that occurred at the Capitol on January 6th, 2021, and events that occurred with Black Lives Matter, do you feel people are desensitized to the differences in treatments by law enforcement?
I would say not only are they desensitized, but I think they are um, overly contradictive of stuff like that. I say desensitized because a lot of them was too concerned about the optics of doing more when that happened. Um, but you look at the fact that when that happened on January 6th, there was little to no real response. But you got a Black Lives Matter movement, and they got the whole goddamn cavalry out there. And you look at that to civil rights marches and stuff like that back in the day, where you know it's peaceful march, peaceful protests, and y'all coming all lock, stock, and barrel. But when stuff like this occurs, or when there's a Klan rally or something like that, y'all not reacting like that. Um, and it's mind boggling to say the least, because it's like we are out there for equal rights. They are throwing temper tantrums. We
Mm-hmm.
reacting because we're wrong. they're reacting because they feel like their privilege is being tampered with. Um, you're not more privileged than us, first and foremost. We are all supposed to be in this one nation, one fight. It's just crazy that the differences are so obvious that people are kind of not desensitized, but okay with it to a degree. Because it's like when you compare the two, it's like why is that okay? You know, what about that is okay? And for me, and I know a lot of people, it takes you back to, when the Civil War was going to occur. You have us who are, screaming at the top of our lungs for equal rights, and you have them who are screaming at the top of their lungs for privilege. And it's like, help me understand the two differences here. Help me understand what's really going on.
True. I mean, I think again, I have to agree with you that a lot of people have become desensitized to the whole Black Lives Matter movement. Um, but the thing that happened at the Capitol building, again, I feel like that plays into the white privilege thing.
Oh, it definitely does.
Um, if there was, people of a darker hue basically storming the building, a national building, Capitol building, our,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in the heart of this country right here,
Mm-hmm.
and basically you just let them come on in.
Right.
I mean, they
That's
said that
what we doing right now.
yeah, certain people were killed during
Mm-hmm.
that incident. I can't verify it. Not saying that it didn't happen. I just can't verify it. Um, but to watch it on a national level, and you sitting in Nancy Pelosi's office, you're sitting in the vice president's chair, like
Like this.
everything's everything. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're just exercising their rights. What? Like, come on, man. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that people are desensitized to it, I definitely agree with that. A lot of people would say that, by them letting them in, they took the right stance without killing as many people as they could have. There could have really been a bloodbath, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the officers themselves, they take orders. And if you're given an order to let them in, then you have to follow those orders. Um, would they have been justified in defending, a Capitol building? Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been definitely justified. Um, they would have been in their rights as, a law enforcement officer,
Mm-hmm.
especially with so many law enforcement agencies there within that city.
Ooh, it's so many. So
But
it's so many. That is the
I,
most
yeah,
law enforcement agencies in 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 a lot of places. That's more law enforcement agencies in a lot of states in that small area.
right. But people gotta realize and understand that, again, this is just my personal view that when you're dealing with a system like this, it's not gonna be perfect. I get that. But at the same time, if shit never changes, I I for one, I can't keep doing it the same way. So with that being said, everyone, we want to thank you guys for tuning in to the King of Our Life podcast. Uh, I think these conversations they need to be had. No, we don't have all the answers,
No, we
but
don't. But your input will greatly help expand the conversation and take it beyond the boundaries of where we're bringing it.
definitely, and we encourage anyone who who may have different feelings or different thoughts on the subject, please just email us.
Yeah,
Again, we will definitely return to the subject, if need be, or if other people chime in, we get enough people to say, hey, let's return to the topic, we will.
definitely.
Again, this is a platform for all people,
Yeah,
all people.
everybody.
So this is a place where we want people to know that my voice can be heard. This isn't like the NBCs or ABCs or whatever the hell you want to call for your news outlets. This is a podcast. We're all human beings at the end of the day, as far as I know, anyway.
Yep.
So, but you gotta stay tuned, man. Again, we got some things in the works, and we're definitely gonna work them out. I think we've sat on them long enough, so we're gonna go ahead and knock out the final details and bring that to everyone. So again, thank you for tuning in to the King Out of Life podcast.
We out. We out. We out. So looking forward.
Peace.